What is it, Kong? What's the matter? Oh, no wonder he's excited. Take a look at this.
Welcome back, my fellow agents. It is I, X7, your agent of Animated Awesome, and also the host of Xenorama, the podcast of heroes and monsters, and also someone who just got back from seeing Spider-Man Brand New Day, and I've got to say, it's really good. But I may talk about that a little more in a shorter video here coming up the next day or two. But before we get too much further into this second episode of 7 segments of the King Kong Show, please like, share, subscribe, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about it. It's pretty fun. And if you're ready and we've done all that, let's get on with the show. Okay, we start out with a title card, and I do really like that opening sequence where Kong punches the volcano and the lava slides down and makes its name show up. I think that's pretty darn cool. Our first episode is The Jinx of the Sphinx. This came from episode 5, broadcast October 8th, 1966. And this is an interesting episode here, simply because of the villain and what he does and what he uses. But I've also come to the conclusion, seeing that Kong and Bobby and Susan are all on their way to Egypt. So they're traveling about the world. They've done this already a couple of times in different places. They're not just stuck on Mondo Island. This is the exact same formula, mixed up a little bit as the first Godzilla series from Hanna-Barbera and that second semi-Godzilla series that was out after the horrible stupid movie that was released in 98. The cartoon was much better, called Godzilla. But, they go around. They're not always looking for trouble, but they always find it. So think about it. But guess who our villain is? It's Doctor Who, of course. And there's his newest creation, a robotic sphinx that he controls from a distance. Dun, dun, dun. And this sphinx looks very happy. I don't know if the animators did that on purpose or to make it look like the Egyptian sphinx, but it looks very happy. So he can control it. And there's his henchman, whose name I did not catch. It's just terrorizing the people in the, wherever that would be, probably in the Nile. It's got laser beams in its eyeballs, and it burns things. Susan, Captain Englehorn, Professor Bond, and Bobby and Kong. That's 4. All they're missing is a dumb robotic or semi-aquatic sidekick, and you've got the Godzilla shows right there. But there he's zapping it, and they bring I do like how Doctor Who does dress in the garb of the region he's in. He's got a little knife there with him. Kong shows up, and they're like, "We got to stop the Sphinx." And so the battle has begun. It's a nice little fight here. I mean, you can't get too much in here in a 6 to 7 minute segment, but it's a good fight. Got you in a headlock. No, that's not a headlock. That's a full Nelson. See if Billy Jack Haynes or Hercules Hernandez had the best one. Fortunately, Kong makes it overheat and it melts. Doctor Who gets away, and that's it. So, because of course he got away. So we're back on Mondo Island here for the green-eyed monster. Captain Englehorn's got his dog Molly or Holly or Dolly or something. Couldn't quite figure out the name. They said it 18 times. But he's teaching Bobby to pilot, and the dog goes overboard. Bobby jumps in to save him. The dog decides he likes Bobby. And he tells Kong, scares the dog at first. He tells him to go away, and Kong's all butthurt because he's jealous. So he's got a fresh dinosaur bone, which, if it's a bone, it'll attract a dog no matter what size the dog is. He's determined to get rid of this dog, feeding him to a T-Rex, a giant snake, or some kind of bird with what I suppose that's supposed to be a pterodactyl, but it sure looks like a bird with a hat on. It's the ugly bird. I think that's from The Legend of Hillbilly John, if any of you have seen that particular rare movie. I have, and it's bizarre. Then Kong's suddenly having an attack of conscience and Bobby, and the bird's flying around, grabs Ladybird there. Kong throws a rock, which decks it. Now they're buddies. He lets him go. Bobby yells at him, and Susan has to tell Bobby what's up because Bobby's he's a boy and he's dumb. And boy, and she's just like, boys, he's jealous. Kong gives Dolly, Holly, Molly a bone, a prehistoric fossil, which would be a rock, not a real bone. But on that island, it could be a bone. And they're like, what? And then that's it. So those were the first two episodes first two segments of Kong from episode 5. Top of the World is from episode 6, and this is in the Arctic, so they're up in Anchorage is flooding. So they're up there at the top of the world. Once again, called out for trouble. And Kong's there helping them out because there's a heat beam. And those aren't the Eskimos. Those are, guess who? It's Doctor Who. Don't guess who. It is who. Who. He's like, yep, we're going to melt things and your dumb ape can't help me. Famous last words there from the bad doctor. There's his atomic pile, it's a nuclear pile that's melting the Arctic ice, and he's going to blackmail the world because he's trying to take over the world. And Bobby kicks him, which annoys him because he's about the same size as the brain, though, isn't he? They shoot at Kong. Kong smashes everything and then runs out. The atomic pile skyrockets and turns into fireworks because that's logical, right? And while you ponder that, we'll pause for station identification. You are watching Xenorama, the podcast of heroes and monsters on KXNO, part of the Xenorama Broadcasting Network. We now return you to our regularly scheduled program.
The mightiest monster of all time in his greatest adventure, King Kong escapes. Can the sinister Doctor Who enslave King Kong's fantastic strength? Can King Kong defy the might of modern artillery, tanks, missiles? See King Kong battle primordial monsters, an air armada, submarines, and finally see King Kong battle man's most evil creation, a robot Kong of steel, in the battle of the century. All new. More fantastic than ever. King Kong escapes, thrilling in Technicolor.
The Golden Temple. Those first, Top of the World and the Golden Temple are from episode 6, broadcast 10/15/1996. And now they're back on Mondo Island. So they're at least going back and forth and not having them all on one or, both out and about, which I think is a good idea. So Bobby's out there fishing and gets yanked out of his boat because he weighs like 30 pounds soaking wet. Kong to the rescue, and he pulls this strange fish up called an ichthyoc, which is not a real fish. But it sure looks like a Devonian fish now, doesn't it? But he brings it in and sets it down and says, I got to go talk to Dad. And Susan's like, oh, dinner. I don't know what Kong's looking for. Apes are vegetarians. But Susan finds this golden arm, a golden statue in it of the sea goddess Inu, which I don't know if that's a real one, but it's an Etruscan. It's from an Etruscan, and legend has there's an Etruscan temple down here. So, of course, they got to go investigate. This time, Professor Bond just dives in himself, and there's sharks and an underwater whirlpool. He stabs the shark. The blood rises, so of course Kong goes in after him because it's a good thing because Professor Bond gets stuck in the whirlpool. Kong saves him. It's like we can't get by it. Kong's smart enough to figure this out. He goes down once, gets rebuffed, goes down twice, grabs the entire temple, which is made of solid gold. Kong's strength is enormous if he lifted that. Swam up there, sets it down, puts a crown on his head, and they're like, I don't know what we can do to get past that. And Bobby says, we don't have to. Kong's already done it. Oh, look at him. He's the king of the world. Well, he literally is King Kong right now. How about that? Okay, our final episode here. Is this it? The Electric Circle. No, this is not. We still got 3 more. This is from episode 7, from 10/22/66, The Electric Circle. An evil scientist shows up here. Not the usual evil scientist, but that looks suspiciously like Skull Island now, doesn't it? And it's Dr. Luban or von Luban, something like that. I couldn't, again, And there's the Triceratops that Professor Bond says is the most dangerous, uh, uh, most vicious animal in the world. Like, how would he know? And he doesn't kill for food, he kills for pleasure. So Kong wallops him and he goes away. So they greet each other as equals, even though Blue Bond has brought Professor Bond by gunpoint. They have a chat. Kong shows up, drops sand on everyone. This is a funny little sequence here. He yells at him for pulling him out by his feet. Then they pull the general out by his feet. Okay, don't do it to Luban, but we can do it to the guy who gives us orders. And they're going to turn Mondo Island into a nuclear missile base for his unnamed but hostile country. So he's got alert, and he's captured Bobby. And guess who? And he shows up. He actually tricks the Triceratops into running through everything to rescue Bobby. The bad guys try to get away. Kong pokes a hole in the submarine. Kong's really whatever size the story needs him to be now, isn't he? And I guess they capture him and turn him over to the UN or somebody. They probably have diplomatic immunity, but apparently they only try the same trick. No other country will try the same trick. You saw it with the Fantasium. Nobody's come back to mine that again. Mirror of Destruction. D word destruction. O for an overture. Throw a little They Might Be Giants in there, and not just If I Was Going to Constantinople, not Istanbul. And there they are talking to this captain who's not Englehorn. Kong does a better backstroke than I do. And that's Dr. Nordman, because they're taking him off. Off they go. And they go to San Francisco to help out, which that would be a long swim. I don't care how big you are. But there's Kong, and there's the Mirror of Destruction. Unfortunately, guess who's taking it over, and he's threatening Dr. Nordman's family. And he's going to turn on. That is the oddest looking San Francisco I've ever seen. But it's a heat ray. It looks like based on the Markalite design, I'm quite sure. Zap! It melts things. He's got them captured. But guess who can't follow orders? Bobby and Kong. So Kong sees his reflection in the mirror and thinks it's another giant ape. The professor is too wound up to do it properly. So old Doctor Who says, "Give me that, you idiot. I'm surrounded by," he thinks he's Dark Helmet. And Kong just rushes right into it before it can get powered up, breaks it. And he's like, "That cursed ape." And he hoists it in the air and throws it. And Doctor Who starts crying. Another very, funny moment. You don't often see the bad guy cry about he keeps interfering with all my plans to try to take over the world. Everyone's happy. They've forgiven Dr. Nordman. Apparently he just says, "I'll build a new one." Is he going to make sure his family's safe? Our second episode here is, this is from episode 8 from 10/29/1996. This is our last one. Next week's episode will have 8 segments because that's how many I have left, but most of them will be from lesser qualities. 7 or 8, depends. But we'll find them, or find out then. So you'll have to stay tuned. Tiger. And this one comes right out of the prehistoric monster, the Superman episode, the Fleischer episode, and every, you know it's going to happen. They're going, let's see. Where are we going? Back to the North Pole. That North Pole. And this guy's a geologist, and he's also an Eskimo. He's wearing mukluks. It's nice to see that the family does have other clothes than just the shorts and when they're out and about. Packers Bay Trading Post. Go Pack Go. Tom Grossi, if you watch this, that one's for you. And there he says, "We can't feed Kong," but this guy, he's a good guy. And Kong just likes to, he doesn't see himself, so he doesn't punch the ice. This is what they found: 2 perfectly preserved frozen saber-toothed cats. They call them tigers, but they're really cats. And you know what's going to happen here. At the top of the world. Now, I'm quite sure Harryhausen did not see this for Sinbad and the Eye of the Tiger, but they are at the top of the world, and of course they're going to thaw them. They're going to freeze them out or melt them out of this because they think they're dead, right? And the trader says, "What if they're not dead?" They're not dead. They were just in suspended animation. Gantry Lawrence style of animation. And they're like, off they go. We got to do something about this. Then not once did they think we should just try to find a place for them to stay because they're rare. They'll never be able to procreate enough to, resuscitate the family. But I mean, Jurassic Park was not a thing yet. But off they go, looking like big old tigers, long tails. Jeez. So they're mutants as well. They attack an Eskimo village, and Professor Bond stupidly goes into an ice tunnel by himself, but fortunately left everyone out there. So Kong fights the cats. Now I thought he just knocked him unconscious. However, I don't like that. I don't like that ending. I know it's a cartoon. It was really sad when the animator stopped drawing the tigers moving. But why would they do that? They could have taken him to Mondo Island, just drugged him and let him off there. They probably would have been a little too warm for him, but again, they could have set up an enclosure somewhere for these animals so that they could, live out the rest of their lives and they could study them. So I think Professor Bond would have wanted to do that. So still 5 Xenocubes out of 7. It's a good show. Unfortunately, these were not designed for people who are of a certain vintage to watch them and dissect them. I'm going to anyway, but they weren't designed to do that. And now, if you know what to do when you're leaving. All right, my fellow agents. Tomorrow we are going to be reviewing the 1958 The Invisible Boy, which really stars Robbie the Robot, but it's a pretty interesting little movie. It's better than Tobor the Great, but, it's a minor science fiction movie of the time. They just wanted to get Robbie out there because he was popular, and I don't blame them. But until that next assignment, my fellow agents, this is X7 signing off and phasing out. And remember, the sun never sets on those who ride into it. We just got to keep going. Be seeing you.
The earth. And from that day forever forward, earth will be its slave.
A boy made invisible by mysterious scientific force. Held in the sinister power of the Berserk electronic brain machine developed by the boy's father, famous scientist Dr. Tom Marino.
You have 58 hours. If at the end of that time you have failed to supply the required information, the boy will be destroyed.